Hi, I'm Mary Lyons, the Wealth Woman, and I'm glad you're joining us today here on New School Millionaire. Today, I want to talk to you just a little bit about mindset. I think that mindset is one of the most important things that we can control when we are thinking about building wealth. In fact, I think mindset is so important that it comes before strategy and before financial tools. Today, I want to help you really lock in a perspective and a way of thinking that will absolutely change the way you approach wealth building. Give me just a second here. I'm going to share my screen with you, and I'm going to make sure we draw this out because I want you to have the visual to go with the thoughts. That way, no matter how you learn, you have the ability to see it and hear it. And hopefully, if you need to redraw it so that you're a kinetic learner, you at least know what you're drawing. So here we go. I am going to share my screen, and here is this beautiful little whiteboard that we're going to draw right on top of. Now, you guys are going to have to give me a little bit of grace as we go through and do this because I am drawing with my finger on a trackpad. But I want you to think a little bit about two different ways to approach money. The first one is what I call a finite mindset. And the reason that I call this a finite mindset is because there are very few ways you can actually grow in this particular way of thinking. So what we're going to do is we're going to start just by building this little box here. And what we're looking to do is think about your personal economy and the way money comes into it. So if you're like most of us, we have a job of some sort that generates an income, and that income gets deposited into your checking account, your savings account, wherever it actually goes, it's your personal economy. And what that really means is now it is coming into your control, and you get to make decisions about what you do with it. What most of us actually do is the taxes are already gone before it hits our account, or if you're a business owner, you have to write a check for those taxes. But after taxes, you're going to spend money on debt, lifestyle, and then eventually you start thinking about what you can save, which is that small amount that's left over after all of the expenses, the debt, and the taxes get paid. And if you're looking at the American average, that's a pretty small percentage of the amount of money that you're actually earning at a gross level. So it's no wonder that when we're deploying that capital, we're looking for buckets we can stick it into that we can generate rates of return. So if you think about how most of us are processing this, we're maybe maxing out a 401k or putting money into a brokerage account. And what happens when we do that is that we get $1 doing one thing for us, and we're hoping that it actually grows. Well, this puts us into the situation where we start chasing rate of return and taking risk because that's how we end up with more money. In this particular system, there are only a few things that you can do to increase the amount of wealth that you are capable of building. The first is shoot for higher rates of return. Usually, higher rates of return come with more risk. The more risk you add in, the higher the likelihood you don't get the outcome that you're hoping for, right? Let's say that again. Risk is the likelihood that you don't get the output that you're hoping for. So if you have to get more risk when you're trying for higher returns, you're also increasing the likelihood that your plan fails. The other thing you can do to generate more wealth is you can work on earning more money. That can actually mean that there's more money coming into the system, and then you've got more money that you can actually save, or you can work on reducing your lifestyle, which means less fulfillment today so that you can put more money away for the future. There are a very finite amount of possibilities in this particular situation. Here's how I want you to start thinking instead. What we want to do is build a system that has infinite possibilities so that we have more choices about how we grow our wealth and how that wealth gets used in our life. So we're going to draw the same little box that we had to represent our personal economy. And we're going to make sure that we've got the same amount of money coming into the system. So same job, you're earning the money, and it is going right into your personal economy. Right off the bat, if we don't change anything else about what we're doing, I want you to start thinking about, instead of just growing net worth and looking for assets that are going to go up in value, I want you to change the type of assets that you're thinking about so that your money is going into assets that are going to produce additional income. In our world, we call those cash flowing assets. also known as CFAs. So if you ever hear me say CFA, this is what we're actually talking about, assets that produce additional cash flow. What happens when we do that is that we are still hoping to get rate of return. We are still hoping that our money is going to go up in value. So I'll give you an example of this. Instead of buying a stock and hoping that that company grows and then your stock is worth more money, you could look at something as simple as, I'm going to buy a piece of real estate. Now, to be clear, that is not the only type of asset that is going to produce additional income. It's just the one that most of us are already familiar with. So if you think about what happens here, we are hoping that the equity that we build in the real estate is going to grow in value over time. But the primary objective when we're looking at acquiring assets is that they produce income. Because if they produce income, that means we have more money showing up in our personal economy. And without changing lifestyle, we are able to save more money into, guess what? Another cash flowing asset. And so what happens over time, if now we have two, is that we have added two income streams back into our world. And then that means that we've got even more to save, which means we can deploy it again and we can add another asset that is going to produce another income stream. Over time, all of these things should appreciate in value. But now, instead of all the pressure being on you to either earn more or reduce your lifestyle, you are acquiring assets that produce more income. So that relieves the pressure on you to earn. Or you can keep earning what you're earning, and now you can add to lifestyle or add to acquiring more investments that produce more income and delay when you take more lifestyle. This puts you into the control seat, and it completely changes the possibilities because it is up to you how many times you deploy your capital to acquire more assets that produce more income. If you can make the shift from $1 into one bucket, generating one rate of return, if you can shift away from that into building a system where your dollars are deployed multiple times, then you can end up in a position where you have not only more income, but more net worth over a period of time. And in my book, that's a win. That is the new school millionaire way.